All right, I think we can go ahead and get started. So, welcome everyone who is joining and those who are joining us on the live stream on Facebook. We're so excited that you're here. My name's Callie, and I'm here with Lori. We are both on the Avela Health team, and Lori will tell you a little bit more about Avela Health. Um, and I'm so excited to intro her and this webinar, The Power of Pause. I have worked with Lori for not even that long and been really delighted with getting to know her as a person and also her wisdom as a clinician and expert. So with that, Lori, I will hand it over to you.
All for joining me this evening. As it is in the title, you are busy parents, and busy parents don't have a lot of time. So I do really appreciate that you're making time for me this evening to hear out this webinar. During the presentation, please feel free to type in any questions that you have in the chat. We are going to take some time at the end of the webinar to answer those questions. But if you're like me and you have something that you're dying to know and you need to get it out, typing it out might help so you don't forget and you make sure you get that question answered. A little bit about me. Kelly, if you want to go to the next slide. My name again is Lori Druding. I am an educator, a coach, and a mom of two neurodivergent boys. I myself am also neurodivergent. I have ADHD and PTSD. I am a clinician here at Avela Health, providing autism care for families. I've been in the autism care space for over 20 years, and I personally take my self-care very seriously, but that wasn't always the way for me. You see here this picture of me and my guitar. That is one of the ways that I care for myself. I engage in a lot of forms of creative expression, including music making. This picture here makes me laugh every time because it's my first lesson with one of my best friends, Carrie Lynn. And I've definitely come a long way since this past July when I first picked up that guitar. But I am hoping that today we can talk more about self-care and inspire you to engage in it as well. At Avela Health, we offer personalized family-centered therapy that empowers parents of neurodivergent kids and teens and connects parents with a community that gets it. Tonight, we will be focusing on a particular topic that's based on a guiding principle of our Family Foundation support groups, and that is self-care. Self-care truly is the first step in caring for others. Self-care is not selfish, something that I've had to teach myself, and it's a very hard lesson, but is an important one. It's the foundation of being able to care for others fully. Why should we care for ourselves in order to care for others? Essentially, because we're human, because we deserve love and care too, and because it's science. And as one of our teammates said yesterday in a meeting, I am both heart and science, very much through and through. And so I hope you can see that throughout this whole presentation. So first, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about some handy brain science. This is adapted from the hand model of the brain by Dr. Siegel. So we have this visual of the hand here, but those of you that benefit from movement and tactile experiences can also follow along with your hand as well. So I'm going to hold up my hand and show you how I do it as well. For me, when I learn concepts, especially new ones, it can be really helpful for me to tap multiple senses, but please do what works for you. So if you hold your hand up with your fingers up and palm facing out, this is your brain. Your wrist is your brain stem. That's essentially where your basic and automatic functions live. Your breathing, your heartbeat, your body sensations. Then, if you check out your thumb, give it a little wiggle there. This is where all of your feelings live. Now let's tuck that right into your palm. We need those. And then your fingers at the top, wiggle those. That is your thinking brain. This is where your ability to reason, regulate emotions, plan, and problem solve lives. So now let's tuck those gently over your thumb, just enough to keep your thumb in your fingers, but also be able to move. This model shows how we need both our emotions and our thinking brain to feel regulated, calm, and to be able to engage with others. But unfortunately, life is full of stressors. What happens when stress comes into play? You flip your lid, and all of those parts of your thinking brain, they become disconnected. You throw your fingers back up. Now your ability to reason, to problem solve, to regulate your emotions, and to plan are disconnected. And we're only left with this raw emotion. And this is when we respond with just emotion, along with a very limited ability to communicate as effectively, to make decisions, and to compromise and reason, and to be present in what's happening in the here and now. And the opposite can happen too. If you take your fingers and you squeeze down on your thumb tight, just like this, we can focus so heavily on reason and logic that we ignore how we're feeling. And unfortunately, if we ignore them, those feelings don't go away. They can build up and become bigger and stronger and knock you back. You flip those up again, and now we're disconnected again. But what can we do about it? How do we keep our emotion brain and our thinking brain connected and working together? First and foremost, we need to show ourselves compassion. We are human, and this is natural and normal for this to occur. Tell yourself this in your own way, the way you will take it in best. Show yourself the kindness, love, compassion, and understanding that you show your child, your partner, your best friend, and turn it to yourself. Some examples of things you can say. It's okay that I'm feeling sad and need to cry. It's okay that I yelled. That's a hard one. I have a hard time forgiving myself for that. I can feel angry and still be a rock star parent. Both of those things can be true. I am struggling, but I can do this. Both of those things can be true. This one moment doesn't define you, and it doesn't need to define the next one. But what do we do for ourselves to help us keep our emotion brain and our thinking brain connected and working together? One way to do so is caring for ourselves, and this is where self-care is truly essential. Callie, do you mind moving on? Thank you. So we're going to talk about some practical self-care. Some things that are commonly associated with self-care are not good ones. It's expensive. I have no time for it. It's not a priority. Too much of a time investment in my day. I should be doing XYZ instead. It's frivolous. It's selfish. That honestly sounds like a lot. And these are things I definitely used to think and tell myself whenever I heard about self-care or even read the word. For a long time, I didn't prioritize this in my own life. And one of the reasons was I was seeing self-care through a very narrow lens. Some of the most spoken about ways to engage in self-care: exercise, grooming, eating healthy, therapy. Yes, these are all types of self-care, but it really goes so far beyond that. Callie, next one, if you don't mind. Self-care can be talking to a friend. It can be encouraging yourself, just like in the phrases I gave you a little bit ago. It can be listening to your favorite music. I did that right before I hopped on this. It could be meditating, reading a book, getting a bubble bath, having a hot shower, saying no to a commitment when you're not available. The list goes on. A lot of these things can be little things you do in your day. But to be honest, only you can truly define what caring for yourself means to you. No one else can do that for you. Self-care should add and enhance your life. It should not add burden and stress. That would be the opposite effect, and it would release that thinking brain from our emotion brain when we really need them working together and collaborating. But guess what? Self-care doesn't need to be perfect either. It can be giving yourself permission to take the time that you need. We love these examples of self-care from Parents by Casey Davis, the creator of Struggle Care. I'm going to read a couple of these for you. Screen time sanity. I let my kid watch a movie so I could drink my tea while it was still hot and stare at the wall in silence for a bit. Nap time power moves. I put my baby down for a nap instead of cleaning. I lay in bed and scrolled on my phone guilt-free. Drive-through solace. I took the long way home from daycare pickup so I could listen to my music and sip my iced coffee in peace. Strategic bedtime delay. I told my toddler 5 more minutes so I could sit on the couch and do absolutely nothing before starting the bedtime battle. Or bathroom break. I locked myself in the bathroom, sat on the floor, and scrolled TikTok while pretending I had stomach issues. I can definitely relate to some of these. I personally have children who are a little older, a little more self-sufficient. And to be honest, they would play PC games all day and night if I didn't intervene. So I have a bit of the opposite problem sometimes. But when tech is not available, and I'm not available, all bets are off, and it's very tough to get time for myself and the things I need to do. So some things that I do, I tell my kids I have an important call to make, and I lock myself in my office, and I have a little sign that I put up that shows the time that I'll be available when my session's done. And I do that so I can talk to my best friend without any interruptions and tell her how I'm feeling, laughter, tears, cursing, and all. I also play and sing music that I know my kids do not like, so that they want to stay away. I love Whitney Houston and I love singing Whitney Houston. And so you can imagine what it's like to be in the presence of someone who belts out Whitney but really can't sing. That they definitely leave me alone. These little things you do day to day that bring you joy matter, and you should fully embrace them and engage in them guilt-free. Although we can't take all the stress of life away, we can reduce the intensity of our stress response when it happens by caring for ourselves one moment at a time. These moments make the most impact when you are mindful when you're engaging in them. Here at Avela, one of the evidence-based interventions we use to support families is acceptance and commitment therapy, which is also known as ACT. It's based on the commitment to relieve human suffering and maximize potential for a meaningful, fulfilling life through flexible thinking. And so tonight we're going to specifically focus on the top of this triangle. This is called the ACT triflex. And at the top, it focuses on being present through mindfulness. This whole triangle, or triflex as they call it, represents the different ways that we can engage in flexible thinking so we can reduce our distress and we can move forward, continuing to live a life that we value, even with our inevitable hardships. This evening, again, we're focused on this top portion of being present. When we are present in the moment, We're focused on what's happening right here and right now, not on our to-do list, not on our shoulda, coulda, wouldas, not on our mistakes of the day. We are mindful of what we're thinking, feeling, and doing in this very moment, and we are viewing this in an open, curious, and flexible manner. Some of the most spoken about ways to practice mindfulness are yoga, meditation, relaxing, and quiet activities. But mindfulness is not those things. These are some ways that people may practice being in the present moment. You can, for example, be engaged in yoga and not actually do it mindfully. Mindfulness is actually a set of skills that involves these key pieces. It involves noticing, being open and curious about what you're thinking and feeling and experiencing in this moment. Intentional, focused attention on specific aspects of the experience. It's kind. It's giving caring and loving attention that is non-judgmental. And it's flexible. You adjust your attention to what's most helpful at that moment for you. Mindfulness is noticing and intentionally focusing on your thoughts, actions, feelings, and emotions together in your current experience in a kind and flexible manner. Practicing mindfulness can also be exciting, it can be fun, and it can involve things that you love and care about and do often. And this actually gives you more opportunity to practice and motivation. And as you practice the skill of being mindful in the present moment, and you do it with things that make you happy, you get better and better at it. And then you'll be able to actually use this skill for yourself to support yourself when times get hard. So we're actually going to do a little practice together right now, if you are open to it. I invite everyone here to join me in being mindful through noticing, if you're comfortable and open to. If not, that's also okay. This video will be available to review on YouTube. So at any time, if and when you're ready to explore this example of noticing, please do what's best for you. All right, so I invite all of you to take a look at this picture. Let's open ourselves up and explore what we are thinking, feeling, and experiencing as we look at this image. Okay. So now I'm going to invite you to be intentional about what we're paying attention to as we look at this picture. One way to do so is by using our five senses. Excuse me. I'll share what I'm experiencing, but please feel free to pay attention to the pieces that really speak to you. Look at the different parts of this picture. What do you see? Look at the darkness and slowly move over to the light. See how the sunshine is reaching out to you. Notice the contrasting colors of the peachy pink sand and teal blue ocean. It's one of my fave combos of colors. Now picture you are on this beach. Feel the sand on your feet. Feel the coldness of the water. Feel the breeze blowing in your hair. The warmth of the sun on your face. The texture of your clothing. The pressure of your feet on the ground. Listen. Listen to the waves crashing and see your clothes flapping in the breeze. Smell. Smell the salty air and your sunblock. I'm a big fan of the way sunblock smells. I often hunt out perfume that smells just like it. Taste. Imagine taking a drink of your favorite drink of choice as you walk or sit on this beach. I will share, this is a picture that I actually use for myself. I engaged in mindful practice with it, and I will use it when I'm in distress, and it's actually incredibly helpful to me. Okay, so the next part we're going to talk about in terms of mindfulness is being kind. When you're practicing mindfulness, you are also experiencing meaningful moments with caring, loving attention. You're being kind to yourself no matter what comes up. For some of you, what we just did and we walked through together might have created peace and relaxation. It does for me. But it also could have created excitement for others, or maybe even sadness for some. And that's all okay. All of those feelings are valid. It's also important to be kind to yourself if your attention drifts to other things. This is a part of being human, especially if you're neurodivergent like me. Just gently bring yourself and your focus back to the moment. So now we're going to talk more about the power of pause, how you can give yourself caring, loving, mindful attention in your day, even with a never-ending to-do list and other people to care for. I know for a long time for me, that seemed impossible and it's not easy, but I'm hoping that you will see it's worth it. Pausing here is not a full stop, although it can be. Sitting in quiet can help you feel connected to your brain and body and focus on the moment. But as all you busy parents know, especially if you have young children, quiet time is rare. I definitely encourage you to cherish those moments and take advantage of them whenever you've got them. But this type of pausing I'm speaking about involves slowing down to really feel and think about the things we do every day that bring us joy. It's engaging in what brings you joy in your day and intentionally focusing on all of those aspects of the experience in the moment. What you're thinking, what you're feeling inside your body using your senses, and what emotions come up for you during that time. It's intentional joy. It's engaging in something that gives us joy, excitement, happiness, and taps our emotion brain. And then we get to bring in our thinking brain along with it by noticing and focusing on our emotions and feelings in the moment. You're fully experiencing the joy and being aware and intentional, about it. I'm going to rephrase that. Fully experiencing joy and being aware and intentional about it. When you do that, it actually shifts your mindset. It keeps our thinking brain and our emotion brain working together along with our body, and it sets us up for taking on the challenges that may arise in our day with greater ease. When you have a neurodivergent brain like mine, it can be helpful to intentionally focus on stimulating more than one of your senses as you engage in daily activities that brings you joy. Just like our mindfulness activity that we did with the beach image, taking in as much of the pleasant aspects of the experience as possible using your five senses is one way that you can practice mindfulness daily. So I'm going to give you an example of how you can easily harness the power of pause to find intentional joy that's just for you throughout your day. This activity is called One Mindfully. And it comes from actually a different curriculum called DBT, which is dialectical behavior therapy. Very much a lot of overlap in ACT and DBT, and this is one of the ways they overlap. This activity called One Mindfully means you are just going to find one simple activity that you do on a daily basis that makes you happy. And you're going to encourage yourself to be present throughout it as you experience it. You don't need to buy anything. You don't need to remove something for from your day and add something else in. There's nothing extra to do. There's no extra energy or time needed unless that's what you want and that's what makes you happy. You're slowing down just enough to be conscious of the experience and you're focusing on the parts that bring you joy and happiness. So I'm going to go through an example of how I take the time to be conscious of something I experience every day, something I do multiple times a day, and where I focus on the parts that bring me joy, which is drinking coffee. Um, and the experience that I'm going to talk about with you is very different than when I'm hurriedly pouring it in my coffee mug and drinking it while I'm getting ready, while I'm on the road, or while I'm working. So it's going to look just like our beach activity, where I'm going to be thinking about my five senses and how they make me feel as I experience my coffee. Look at the coffee drips into the carafe and how it slowly fills up. Look at the patterns on my favorite mug. I have a variety of them and I love every single one. Notice as the cream mixes into the coffee and changes color. Feel the weight of the cup in my hands. Feel the warmth of the cup on my hands and then my lips. Feel the warmth and wetness of the coffee in my mouth as I drink. Listen to the dripping noises as it brews, the sounds of it pouring, the cling of the spoon against the mug as I slowly stir in the cream. Smell the beans before and after they are ground as it's brewing and as I hold the cup. Taste the coffee as I drink slow sips with breaks in between to take in my other senses. Now, I will do some variation of that depending on the day and what's happening. Do I always tap all my senses all the time and be as mindful about all of them all at once? No. And that's the final part about practicing mindfulness is that we need to be flexible. So here are some questions you can ask yourself as you go venture off and attempt to do this with one of your routines that you have in your day. Be flexible. Was this helpful? Did it bring me joy, even if it was just for a moment? Remember, these small moments do matter. They add up to make a very big difference. Make time to pause and find as many small, joyful moments in your day to keep your emotion and thinking brain in harmony. If you tried something and it didn't work, keep trying. You are not a master at mindfulness yet, and neither am I. But I keep going. Is there a way I can change what I'm focusing on that can bring in more joy? So for me, the smell and the taste are the most joyful parts, and I love freshly ground beans. I'm a bit of a coffee snob, but I hate the grinding sound. It's my least favorite part. So during that part, I typically try and shift my attention from the grinding noise and focus on the smell while that grinding happens. And thankfully, it's short and I'm able to power through it. Another question you can ask yourself is, what do I need right now? It's all in the context of what's helpful for me in this moment, the here and the now. When I'm cold or I'm sick, focusing on watching the steam or the warmth may bring me the most joy, especially if my taste buds are affected by my illness. Are there other things that I can add to this, not take away from? to give myself more joy. My favorite thing to do when I'm drinking coffee is to sit on my porch. And I can't always do that every day. And especially when it's cold out, I cannot. So typically in the summer or the spring and the fall, when the weather's a little nicer and my kids are occupied. But if it's cold out, it will suck all the joy out. So I do not do that. So instead, I just shift the plan and sit under a blanket in the house to bring the warmth in during those times. If I can't experience all of what makes me happy during this activity like I planned, how can I roll with these unexpected interruptions? Back to the porch for me. I'm really looking forward to the spring when the weather is nicer and I can start this. And sometimes it's spring and it's finally nice out, but things are growing strong. So as soon as I get my coffee and sit in my favorite chair on my porch, I take a sip and I hear a lawnmower starting. My peace is now gone. I need to shift. I'm not giving up. I'm still going to have my coffee and enjoy as much of this as possible. So I go inside with my cup and I sit by a window with a similar view of my garden and my favorite tree. And above all, ask yourself what felt right and natural to you. Follow your instincts. When what you do is fulfilling for you, you will know it. Trust that feeling and go with it. I encourage you to explore and continue to do what works to reduce your stress and bring you little doses of happy throughout your day. And most importantly, for the parts of your experience you can control, stop what is not working. Be flexible and make changes to find that joy. After this webinar, I hope you are inspired to harness the power of pause. I encourage you to give yourself a break and care for yourself, just like you do for your children. Have compassion for and prioritize your needs, just as you do for the ones that you love. Chase that joy so you can be the best parent you can be for both your child and yourself. Thank you all for joining me this evening. Thank you so much, Callie, for supporting me through this, and everyone at Avela for building me up and helping me be here to present this to you all this evening. I'm going to kick to Callie and she can share a little bit more with you about how you can connect with us, and then we can also answer any questions as well.
Yeah, thank you so much, Lori. I feel so calm after doing those exercises. So really excited for my morning coffee tomorrow and to pay
Yay!
attention to it in a different way. So really appreciate this. For all those here or watching on the live stream, you can connect with Avela a few different ways. You can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, YouTube, all the channels. If you want to revisit this webinar or reshare it, then it will be posted on YouTube shortly, with probably tomorrow. And then we also do, of course, want to open it up for any questions or comments that anyone might have. And you can drop a question in the chat or just go off of mute and pop it in. And if there are no questions, we'll just wrap it up. I'll see if any come through. All right. Well, I think we're all set. If you think of anything later and you have questions, you can always follow us and comment to us, send us a message on social, shoot us an email at support@joinavela.com. And thank you so much, everyone.
Oh, thank you.